When I think about the way we used to be, when I think about the things you took from me, I know that I am so much better. When I look at what I've done, now that we're apart, when I look at what I've won, I've come so far.
Hello everyone, welcome to Big Girl Panties. I'm Sakina, your confidence coach, here to give some of you single ladies and soon to be single ladies some much needed and valuable relationship tips as you try your hardest to navigate this ever so complicated dating scene, which I know for most of you feels like a dating game and you're just tired of playing games. So it's time to weed out the bad apples so that you can just restore your inner peace, get off of the emotional roller coaster and live your best life. Because let's face it, if you're obsessing over a guy that didn't call you back and you really liked him, if you're over analyzing the reason why he didn't call you back, then you're anxiety ridden, you're feeling sad, you're feeling disappointed, and those emotions are not conducive to your best life. So I'm going to share with you how I overcame the emotional roller coaster of the dating scene, aka dating game. Okay, so listen, I know a lot of women overanalyze. I have been one of them. Like, you start to wonder, okay, what's going on? Why do guys play so many games? Like, we've exchanged numbers. I thought he was cute. I guess he thought I was cute. I guess. And, you know, we hit it off. The conversation flowed. And then it's like he completely ghosted me. Like, what happened? And then you start to really get into your head in the most negative ways. And you start to wonder, like, you start to doubt yourself. And it affects your self-esteem because you start to wonder, like, was I not cute enough? Was I not dressed nice enough? Was I not smart enough? Was I not good enough? Or maybe because I met him at a happy hour and I downed that glass of wine in like 3.5 seconds, maybe he thinks I'm an alcoholic. Like, oh no, I shouldn't drink when and then you really start to beat yourself up. And again, you cannot live your best life if you're having all these negative thoughts and you're obsessing over, first of all, a complete stranger. So what I did was I jumped out of the dating scene and I said, I'm going to take the time to do a little research. And of all the research that I did, I found Steve Harvey's book to be the most helpful. Act like a lady, but think like a man. There are a lot of people that love Steve. There are a lot of people that just like, no, we don't trust Steve. But I gotta tell you, like, in my head, he's my Uncle Steve. In his book, I felt like I got all of the advice that I needed from a brother, an uncle, a father, like all of those male figures in my life. No one ever sat me down and told me what to expect from men, how to conduct myself, and how to navigate this ever so complicated dating scene. So when I finished reading Steve Harvey's book, I mean, I literally read it in one day. I just felt empowered. I felt like, man, like if only I learned this when I was a teenager, my dating life would be so much easier. In fact, I would have been married a whole lot sooner. One of the analogies in Steve's book that I really like is the analogy when he compares dating to getting a new job. You know, that 90-day probation period where your bosses get to see, like, you know, if you're showing the work on time, if you're giving your all, if you're being consistent, if you're being responsible, all that good stuff. And so Steve said, listen, you got to put guys that you just meet on a 90-day probation. Like, you really need to stick to the 90-day rule. Now, for me, I feel like we're all grown. We're adults. I think that in addition to having at least a 90-day rule, well, let me take that back, because I feel like since we're all adults, you get to decide how many days you want to wait. But the reality is, ladies, we have to all learn how to cultivate intuition and trust our gut. When you're dealing with somebody that's good for you, it feels good. You feel happy. You know they're going to call when they say they're going to call. You know they're going to show up for the date if they've invited you out to the date. You know what I mean? You feel secure in their word. You can trust what they're going to say because they are actually following through. Whereas if you're dealing with someone that's not good for you, even though you want him to be good for you because you've already futured with him, and you can see what your kids are going to look like because you went that far so fast, okay? So the thing about that is trust your gut. Your body, your spirit, your soul is going to communicate that something isn't right. So when the guy is right for you, you're going to get like, anxiety and butterflies in your stomach, but they're going to be good butterflies. It's a completely different set of butterflies versus when you're dealing with someone who's inconsistent and you know that he's not right for you. You have like nervousness and anxiousness, okay? And how are you going to live your best life if you're constantly worried or anxious about what this completely new guy, this absolute stranger, if he's going to follow through, if he's going to call you, if he's going to be a man of his word, And so it's just the two, excuse me, I'm getting a little excited here, okay? But the truth of the matter is the two cannot coexist. You cannot feel good about a guy if you're having negative vibes, in your stomach. Your gut is going to always tell you the truth. Ladies, learn how to cultivate intuition. Learn how to trust yourself. It is amazing how we will not trust our own intuition, but we will trust everything that a complete stranger tells us. You know what I mean? And I just feel like actions speak louder than words. So it's like, you can tell me what I want to hear, but your actions will show me if you are the real deal. And more often than not, people will show you who they are. And when they show you who they are the first time, believe them, so that you're not wasting valuable time and valuable emotions, okay, on a complete stranger who's not worthy of you. And then you don't have to question your self-esteem and figure out, am I good enough for him? You absolutely are good enough for him. Actually, you're probably too good for him, because you're the one being honest. You're the one being consistent. You're the one actually willing to jump through hoops. Whereas he wants to play games. He doesn't want to call when he says he's going to call. And then he expects you to be readily available for him when he decides to call. And like I said, you don't know who he actually lives with, who he really is, and what he's really up to. I mean, you could just be one of many women that he has in his stable, and he might not have the time to spend with you because he has to split his time up with other women. Okay, so you know how before when I said as you get older, people get jaded? All right, I want to give, I have no problem giving a lot of men out there the benefit of the doubt. Because not every man has a bunch of women in his stable. Believe it or not, a lot of men are just as scared and insecure as women. And they just are afraid to put their feelings out there and get themselves hurt. Especially once they feel like, wow, I'm really into her. I'm really attracted to her. She could be a keeper. She could be the one. But then their fear blocks them from being consistent, because that consistency builds emotion. And a lot of times, it's not that men are dogs, it's that they're emotionally unavailable. You understand what I'm saying? And so, ladies, either the man is a dog, or he's the most faithful guy you want to ever meet, but he's afraid to get hurt, emotionally unavailable, so he has all these walls up. Either way, that is something that you really can't change, and then you really can't fix. I mean, the reality is, it's not your job to be his therapist, to help knock down his walls. You're wasting your time trying to fix someone who may not be ready to do the work to heal from those past relationships. Or he might be a dog, and you might try to jump through hoops to show him that you're better than all the other women that he's dating. And it's like, really, you're putting yourself out there too much. It's like you're doing too much too soon. So I feel like if you take your time to get to know him and allow him to prove consistency to you, I think that you will save yourself a lot of heartache and a lot of headache. So instead of getting all into your feelings, doubting yourself, you could spend a little bit of time holding on to your emotions and getting into his head. I think that it's really mature for a woman to ask a man, like, what are his views on relationships? It's a good opportunity to get to know him and figure out where his head is at, And more often than not, he'll probably, spill some beans, give you some details about what he's really feeling and about what his past relationships were like, you know? I'm telling you, I have been through the gamut of guys when it comes to dating, and I just found that, you know, raising my standards and just like, you know, having my non-negotiables, just things that I absolutely will not tolerate, it completely changed the game for me. You know what I mean? Like, let me give you a story. Okay, so I was teaching, and I had a very, very demanding teaching job. So I had to be like a grandma. Like I had to go to bed at by like 9, 10 o'clock so that I can get up at like 4:45 in the morning and, you know, prep for the morning, because my students had to do a morning broadcast and it was like airing live throughout the whole school. Like I had a lot of responsibility. I was the lead teacher in the department at the time. And so I needed to be in bed by a certain time. So this one particular guy that I was dating, he would never call me early enough like I had asked. I specifically said, listen, you know, I would like for you to be a gentleman and court me. Like I like to be courted. I want to be treated like a lady, and I want to be taken out. And I want to take the time to get to know you because I don't know anything about you. Okay, so I got that from the book. All right. And so he would always be like, yeah. All right. Yeah. So what time did you say? And I would be like, well, preferably if you can call me by like, you know, like 9 o'clock. Like sometimes I would go to bed at 11. It would depend, but before my bedtime or whatever the case may be, like, first of all, call me when I'm awake enough to speak to you, number one. And also call me at an hour that's conducive for you to take me out on a date. It's funny how you always call me when all the restaurants and all the little shindigs have closed or ended. So it was like a convenient little thing. And I'm starting to feel like, wait a minute, is he really trying to get to know me? Or is he just really trying to call me on the late night and get to know me? And I just really didn't appreciate that. But I stepped into my power and I said, listen, I think that you're a real nice guy. I think that you're attractive. I think that, you know, you have a lot of great things going for yourself, but I don't appreciate the way you treat me. I'm like an afterthought. After you've hung out all day with your friends and you've worked and you did whatever, oh, you want to call me in the middle of the night so that you can what? Come over? Like, what's your objection to taking me out on a date? So here's the deal. If you don't want to court me like the lady that I am and treat me the way that I deserve to be treated, just do me a favor and lose my number. I didn't get upset. I'm done. Let me get myself together here. So I didn't get upset. I didn't get frustrated. I didn't get all ratchet and tell him off. And I didn't do any of that. Basically, I just told him, listen, if you're not going to treat me the way I want to be treated, just lose my number. Because all that means is we're not compatible. No hard feelings. And I'm not going to lie to you. It was hard to do. I mean, because he was fine. I'm talking about face was on point, teeth on point, body on point. He just was a sexy, smart, attractive guy. And I really did want to hang out with him. But you know what? I wanted to respect myself more because I was frustrated. I was frustrated with the inconsistency, the emotionally unavailable guys, the guys that want to just, you know, add you to their stable, put you on a shelf and get to you when they feel like it. I was like, listen, you're not a record label and I am not an artist. I am not going to produce a whole entire album for you and then you just put me on the shelf and you get back to me when you feel like getting back to me, or you put my album out when you feel like putting my album out because now you're working with a new artist. No, absolutely not. And so even though it was hard for me to do, I was super proud of myself for doing it. And, you know, he accused me of trying to control him. And I was like, no, I'm not trying to control you. Absolutely not trying to control you. What I'm trying to do is respect myself because I know I deserve better, you know? And I could just feel butterflies in my stomach because I was so proud of myself. Like, this is really empowering, you know? So instead of putting all of my emotions into a brand new guy that I didn't know that much about, only that he was super fine, it was just like so much more beneficial, so much more productive, so much more worthwhile for me to put my energy into protecting my temple, mind, body, and soul. And so we hung up the phone. I didn't hear from him for a couple of days. And then when I heard from him again, I answered the phone like it was no big deal. Like, hey, how are you? Long time no chat. And he was like, yeah, what are you doing? I was like, nothing. I was about to cook dinner or whatever. And then he was like, no, don't cook dinner. I want to take you to dinner. Here, let me get it together over here, right? This little off the shoulder look is just like doing the most right now. I just try to look nice for y'all, but it is what it is. All right, so then, yeah, I got the dinner invite. I got the courtship. But the reality is, it didn't last long. The consistency wasn't there. But even during the courtship, I wasn't emotionally attached. I kept my feelings at bay because it hadn't been enough time for him to prove himself to me. And so I cut him off again and said, listen, do me a favor, lose my number. I just don't have time for the emotional roller coaster, the back and forth. Like, it's just not what I want to do. Like, I'm a professional. I work all day. I'm a teacher of children. I'm a mentor of children. And, my dream in the future is to empower young girls to live their best lives. And yeah, you're going against my core values with the way you're treating me. And if I allow it, okay, then I really can't blame you. I can only blame myself. And that's the big key, ladies. You cannot fault a man for treating you the way you are allowing him to treat you. You have to raise your standards. You have to sit down and really think what your non-negotiables are. You have to really think to yourself like, okay, what am I okay with? What am I not okay with? And when the things that you're not okay with keeps happening and your gut is telling you this doesn't feel right, trust your intuition. Trust your intuition because your gut is always right. Your gut will never lie. He will lie, but your gut will never lie. The story doesn't stop there. So, I don't know, about a week or two passed and I obviously didn't reach out to him and he obviously didn't reach out to me. And I just felt like, okay, I weeded out a bad apple. Okay, so I thought. So I was awakened to the sound of banging on my glass balcony door. And I'm talking about, it startled me. Like, I jumped out of my sleep, like, what the, you know what I mean? Like, who is at my door? Because I'm the type of person, like, listen, you need to call before you come. I don't do drive-bys, okay? And I don't want drive-bys happening to me. Like, I need to have a phone call. I need to be alerted that you are coming because I do not show up at other people's houses unannounced. Now, some people have agreements like, yeah, stop by anytime. I'm not one of those people. Like, we won't have that type of agreement unless I'm really, really, really comfortable, close with you. There's levels to it. But in general, no, you absolutely cannot just like drive by my house. What if I'm busy? What if I'm naked? What if I just don't want to be bothered? It's just like, respect my space and give me a call and let me know you're coming. So when I heard that banging on my balcony window, I freaked out a little bit. So I jumped up, full grown woman with a Hello Kitty pajama set, went to the balcony, and it was Mr. Not Compatible. And then I had to think to myself, and I was like, where did this ninja come from? So I walked to my balcony and I looked over because I'm like, he must have had a ladder. I lived on the 3rd floor. No. There was no ladder. There was no rope. This ninja shimmied up the wall, up the whole building like Spider-Man to bang on the window so that he could spend the night with me. He felt that entitled. And I was like, oh, no. Oh, no. Not tonight, ninja. Not tomorrow night, ninja. Not next month. Not next year. You spent all day out with everybody else, and you show up wee hours of the night after you've had all your fun at your social gatherings with liquor on your breath, thinking that you was going to get a nightcap with moi? My Uncle Steve taught me better than that. So I know how to act like a lady and think like a man. Now, if he wasn't drunk, I would have told him, shimmy back down the building the same way you got up here. But I was like, you know what? I have to go to work in a few hours. I don't have time. Have to call the police and do an incident report because there's a dead body or an injured man down, on the ground. And so I just opened up the balcony and I was really like, okay, this is what you want to do? So he was getting all excited thinking that, okay, I was inviting him in. So I grabbed him by his hand and I walked him to my front door and I was like, get the fuck out of my apartment and don't you ever climb up my balcony again. I was like, you should have spent this time figuring out how you were going to court me the proper way and show me the respect I deserve. I said, get the fuck out of my house and get the fuck out of my life because you ain't bout shit. Then I got a little ratchet and I slammed the door. because I don't like drive-bys. The next day, I get a phone call from him once he sobered up and stuff, and he told his mama's boy, told his mama everything that happened. She encouraged him to give me a call to apologize for his inappropriate behavior and to thank me for not calling the police because it really could have ended his career. And so in conclusion, I weeded out a bad apple rather quickly. I respected myself. I acted like a lady, but I felt like a man. And I did not settle. I did not settle. When my gut was telling me like, this is disrespectful, this is not right. Once I learned like, how men think and why they will treat you and try you like that, it just was I just felt so empowered. So instead of going to work feeling disappointed and sad because, I felt used or I felt disrespected, I went to work with a burst of energy. Like I really handled my business like a lady, like a classy lady. Like I felt like a G. And I'm just trying to say the same thing can happen for all of you ladies. And so I think that the moral of this story is, ladies, take back your power. Stop giving it away to complete strangers. Stop allowing someone that you met 3 to 4 weeks ago crush your whole world because you thought that, he was the one. The time that you spend miserable over a man who you don't even know is worthy of your temple, you're taking away precious time for your own self-development. You're cranky and irritable towards your friends or distant towards your friends or getting a little like short with your kids because you're in a bad mood. You just like have a bad vibe. Your spirit isn't right. And your spirit isn't right because of an outside influence. Because you thought that he was the one. You thought that he was going to make you happy. You thought that a relationship would make you happy. So what you're doing is you're giving away your power by looking for happiness in outside sources. You're jumping through hoops for the wrong people who don't deserve it. Spend your energy and your time and your loyalty and all your brain power on the people that are actually deserving of it. The people that you know that you can count on. And then just demonstrate discipline. When your gut is telling you no, it's a no. It's a no. Learn to trust your gut. Learn to cultivate intuition. You don't have to be so quick, to give away all of your trade secrets to someone who you don't even know is worthy. And so I don't think that a guy who's not treating you the way that you want to be treated is a bad guy necessarily. He could have been hurt in his past. You have to think about it like this, ladies, right? You know how women, we could have been cheated on 100,000 times straight. But there's so many of us. The average woman will not give up on love. She will still be open to love. Yes, there are some women that will be jaded and they will kind of like withdraw. But the average woman, she will still put herself out there after being cheated on multiple times. But guys, they could be cheated on in the 9th grade. Homeboy could have been 14 years old. And every woman after that will have to pay the price for that 14-year-old girl that broke his heart that many years ago. It doesn't make him a bad guy. But it is not our responsibility to become that man's therapist and to become that man's circus clown, jump through hoops, trying to prove to him that, I'm not anything like her, I'm better than her. There's nothing wrong with having that conversation and saying like, listen, I'm real, I'm a woman of my word, I'm a one-man woman, and I wouldn't do you, I would treat you the way that I want to be treated. There's nothing wrong with having that mature conversation with a guy. But if he is not open to doing the work and learning to work through his trust issues and learning to give you a fair chance, then you need to cut your losses while you're ahead. Weed out the bad apple quickly. Weed out those apples, ladies. We have a biological clock. Men don't. They can make babies until they're 70. Obviously, by the time we're 70, our eggs have become hard-boiled. We just don't have that option. And so if you are a woman who know what you want, and you know that, you know what, you want to meet someone, maybe, get to know them, travel, become a power couple, build a business together, build an empire together, whatever it is you want to do, and then build a family together, then you probably don't want to waste your time on someone who has their own journey of healing. And you don't have to put all of your emotions into someone, because what they're doing is they're standing in the way of your blessings. The guy who does want to give you what you want, the guy who sees the beauty and value in you where you are currently in life. You don't have to jump through hoops unnecessarily, and you don't have to feel like you're the only one putting forth effort. Like, how are you going to feel good about yourself if you're constantly chasing after a guy? Even though you just really like him and you want it to work, in his eyes, he's feeling a little cocky, or he's feeling like, oh, she's a little thirsty, she's a little desperate, you know what I mean? And then he'll just keep you in his stable. But if you don't want to be just one of many women in a stable, then you have to set boundaries. Figure out what your non-negotiables are. Do you want to be courted? Do you want to keep in contact X amount of times a day? Or do you like flirty texts? Or do you like a person to be a man of their word? If they say they're going to call you at 8 o'clock and they can't call you at 8 o'clock, they need to shoot you a text, say something came up, I'm a little busy, I'm going to call you as soon as I'm done with this meeting or this whatever. If you want someone to show you consideration and admiration, then you should not have to settle. Because a lot of women, good women, are ready to settle, but there are a lot of good women who are absolutely ready to settle down. But I encourage you, just don't be so desperate that you just settle for anything. Because in the long run, it's going to wear down your self-esteem, it's going to add extra stress to your life, and you will not be able to live your best life and concentrate on your dreams if all of your headspace is filled with what so-and-so isn't doing, how inconsistent so-and-so is being, and then you're letting some man control all of your emotions. And you need to use your emotions to get ahead in life. And when you're dealing with someone who's not treating you the way that you want, then your emotions make you digress. And it blocks your blessings from the person you want to be with, as I said before, but then also from the person that you want to be in general. You want to be a peaceful person. You want to be a happy person, but you're constantly allowing someone to let you down, disappoint you, and lie to you. And so, ladies, just take inventory of what you really want. And when you figure out what you really want, lock it up, hold it tight, and make sure that you do not prematurely invest your emotions. That is one of the worst things you can do. Put all of your emotions and brain power into an absolute stranger who doesn't even have the decency to call you and tell you that, you know what, something came up. I'm not going to be able to make it tonight. So instead of sitting back or sitting at home wondering, why am I not good enough? Take back your power and know that you are absolutely more than good enough. He's the one with the issues. It doesn't make him a bad person. It just doesn't make him the right person for you. So leave your comments below, as it pertains to this topic. Let me know what you've been through. Ladies, are you having an easy time dating? Are you having a hard time dating? Are guys treating you the way you want to be treated? Are you one of the fortunate ones who trust your gut and you cut your losses? Are you one of the ones who feels like, okay, this is not a dating scene, this is a dating game? Share your joys, share your frustrations, because really this is a community that I hope that we can just empower each other so that we can truly live our best lives. So in the meantime, and until next time, live your best life and happy dating, ladies.
When I think about the way we used to be,